Good morning, YouTube. It's John with B&B Auto. We're back again. We've got the 2010 Escape back in the shop again. My customer friend was complaining about when he steps on the brakes now, this thing, it pulls to one side, and we kind of did some diagnosis on it last week, and everything looks great with the brakes. We did new brakes, new control arms on the front. It's been aligned, I believe, but everything's straight, and there's no issue with that. It wasn't pulling after we did the work to the front end at all. We did inspect the rear brakes, and everything had looked good there too previously. And after looking at everything last week, I also did some bleeding, just some real quick bleeding on the fronts, and I didn't really have any air come out of them. So I'm suspecting either a bad caliper or brake lines. We're going to start with brake lines. This is an older vehicle. It's got 200 and some thousand miles on it, and ordered up some brake lines. So here we've got a couple new fronts and one each for each side of the rear. The rears are just a little bit different for each side. I don't know if it's a length deal on these. I guess we'll see when we get to them, but the fronts are the same. I just went with the Dorman ones. They'll be just fine. They've got the ribs going a long way, so they should hold up without issue. So without further ado, we'll get to it. And one thing we're going to do is we're going to top up our brake fluid all the way, because when we do pull these off, we're going to have brake fluid draining out of there. Gravity wise, we want to make sure we always have brake fluid in the reservoir so we don't get air in the ABS system, and then we don't have to do an ABS bleed. This wasn't doing any false activations of ABS or anything like that, so I don't believe there's air in the ABS system. The ABS seemed to work as well on some loose gravel, but let's get to it. I think what I'm going to do first is I am going to inspect these. I'm going to pull off the calipers and just make sure the slide pins are doing what they are and that something isn't bound up on both sides, because I haven't done that yet. But I do have the brake hoses, so I'll probably just pop each of these sides off, check them out, put them back on, and then we'll get to changing the hoses. Alright, here we are. Sorry you got to deal with a little noise. I got the window AC running in here. It's a warm, sticky one out here today in Minnesota. Anyway, here we've got the caliper. It's got caps for the slide bolts, top and bottom. I did shoot some PB Blaster on all these brake hose points right up there last night, so those have been soaking so they can come out without issue. Anyway, these slide pin bolts are an M7. You go right in there. Make sure you use an extension so you don't put a bunch of pressure on this hose, although we are replacing these. What I'm thinking is that these front hoses here are collapsing internally, and that they're acting as a one-way valve, which may be a good idea since I'm having a little bit trouble compressing these now. We've got our spring right here. I'm thinking that an easy way to get these things out, they can be kind of annoying, is take a channel locks, give that a squeeze, see how that moves, and you can pop off one side. Just like that. We got our spring clip, keep a clip out of the way there. So now that's loose. Looks like we've got enough movement on there. our slide pins. These shouldn't be too tight. I believe the torque setting is only 30 foot-pounds on these. A little dry, but they look good. Did grease them when we did brakes before. So we'll just make sure we get some new grease on there. We'll take a look here. Pad's looking good. Rotor looks good. There's no funny grooves or anything like that. Front one looks good too. Still see some of the hash mark from when we put it on. He has been putting quite a few miles on this, I believe, since we did the work last. That looks okay on there. We'll just re-grease everything when it goes back together. And yeah, looks pretty good. So I guess I'll just throw the caliper back together here. I used some of this grease that came with some other brakes I did. Alright, just double checked it quick. These are 40 foot-pounds for the slide pins. And it's 100 and for the big caliper bracket 18 millimeter bolts, it's 130 foot-pounds. Here I've got my little guy. Set that to 40. Alright, I'm going to throw these caps back on the back here quick. Keep the junk out of our Allen bolts that are in there. Then we've got to put our spring back on here. So, kind of in reverse, get one side. Oh, that's another spot you want to put a little dab of grease is right on there. Just right on that face where those tabs touch. we'll get one of those there. Let's see. Gravity. Alright, so we'll go like that. Got one of them on there. Obviously, you want to be careful with these. They are springy. Hold that there. We'll use our pliers to give it a squeeze and get it tapped in there. Give those a tap, make sure they're seated in there well. And we're looking good. Alright, let's move on to taking off those brake lines. Alright, I've kind of got a hodgepodge of bolt sizes for these connectors and everything. Let's see if I can get some more light here. So we've got the bleeder valve right here. Go ahead and pop our cap off of that, set it aside. Those are a 3/8 on here. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I can get that loose. Okay. Wiggle that back and forth, make sure it's moving good here. Tighten that back up. Alright, that's 14. Just a little greasy. Or not greasy, but rusty. Give that a crack, make sure that's going to come off. I think the one up here is a 13. Let's give that a yank. Yeah, that's going to come off no problem. Alright. So we're going to have our hose ready. We want to do this fairly quick. Make sure everything's the same. This will go in here and this locking tab will hold it. You just pop these out. There's one there, one there. These have got quite the bend to them. Right in there. So we just want to make sure that everything's going to line up and that it looks good, which it does. Go. Stuck in there, huh? That out of there. And then the whole line has to twist for this bottom one to come off. So we're going to go ahead and take this one off first. And then I'm going to pull this guy out of there. It seems to come right out of there, so I'm going to go ahead and yank that out. Go ahead and get that unscrewed. Get that out of the way. I'm suspecting it's the right front with the issue, but since we're going to do one of them, we're going to do all of them. This tucked into here. That's the job. Make sure you got some cardboard down and drain fans down. There is a tab, so you want to make sure you've got that tab in the groove. Fairly tight there. Oops. Back in, and we'll kind of get this one tightened up a little more now. I think we're good there. Check the bottom on. Yeah, good and tight. Slip this one in there. Same thing, get our tab back on there. And we'll give it a little rinse. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to crack this bleeder valve so it gravity drains. While we go work on the other side. It's dripping good now. Took a quick break and came back, and it's steadily dripping out of there from the gravity. So we're going to go ahead and close this one off. We will bleed these. We don't need that dripping the whole time. I'm going to go up top. I'm just going to fill up the brake reservoir so we have plenty of juice in there, and we'll go to the other side. Alright, here we are on the other side, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to tear this apart, just kind of double check everything, and we'll replace the hose. Alright, this side front was pretty uneventful. I haven't tried to blow through the old tube yet. Don't really want to get brake fluid on my mouth. But yeah, just threw that back together, let it gravity drain, close that off. So we're going to move now to this rear. It's pretty simple, so I'm going to pull off the drum, just take a look in there again. And because it's been, I don't know, it's been 6 months or a year since I did work on this and inspected it. So I'll just pop that off and kind of take a look in there. Here's the clip for the top part of this hose. Just runs down to this bracket. Clip comes out from the back right there. Pretty simple. Lubed up those nuts last night. They should pop out. And then hopefully you can see that from the back. There's the line that just comes up there. Here's the bleeder. Let's see if I can get a little better light in there for you. So there's the bleeder right there on this. It's kind of a little bit more, a tighter spot to get to. But we'll go ahead and pop those loose. That looks like it's a little bit smaller than the front. The front was a 3/8, if I didn't mention that. But let's get you set up and we'll see how these go. Alright. For whatever reason I put these little locking things back on here. They're just there for manufacturing to hold the drum on when they put them on there. Usually gotta get under these with a screwdriver or side snips and cut them. You can get them going though, just the right spacing, you can spin them off. You can leave them off, not going to hurt anything. Drum linings look good, nothing crazy. Just some dust. Just take a look around here, make sure we don't have leaking rear cylinders, which they look good. Take a look at our brake shoe lining. These are looking healthy. All the springs are in place. One hold down pin to this side. Does appear to have a little bend in it. It's still holding it tight. It's just meant to hold it tight to the side. So we'll be good with that. Alright, I don't know why, but a 9mm fits this one better. Loosens right up without issue. Let's tighten that one back up for the moment. Go ahead and get our nuts loose for our line, one there and one down here. Like on the back here, they're both 13s. That one's a little tight. Moving. That's the danger. If they're frozen and rusted to the line, you'll twist these lines right off. So I'm going to go ahead and take this one off first, since it's kind of a little sticky. We'll grab my hose first. Alright, so we've got our new hose. Just kind of take a look at it there. And yeah, the only difference is it looks like the driver's side, the left side, is a little bit longer, and it's got a couple protective rings because it can bump against the shock, where on this side it does not. So here's our new hose. Let's get this one off here. Rear hose. Doesn't appear to make a difference which way it goes. wash down. Crack our bleeder back open for a little while here. See it dripping out of the threads there. But we'll let that go for a few minutes and we'll move on and do the other side. Alright, passenger side. It's buttoned back up, ready to be bled. Same thing on the driver's side here. Alright, I'm going to put you on time lapse, crack the bleeders loose, change this hose, and we'll come back to it. Hopefully you can see right down there is a bleeder. Alright, so I've got an assistant inside. I'm going to get my wrench ready here. I'm going to have them push the pedal while we loosen this. Alright, go ahead and put pressure on it.
Press and hold?
Yep. And up. Okay, pump it a few times, put pressure. Oh, hold. Okay, up. Pump it 3 times and hold it. Alright, looks like our gravity bleeding did pretty good. I really didn't see much any air come out of there. Alright, I'm going to go top off our fluid and we'll hit the other ones. You always want to start with the right rear. It's the furthest away from the brake cylinder. Then we'll go left rear, right front, left front. Alright, so I was checking out the brake hoses. I'm pretty sure this is the right front. I blew through all of these just with some brake clean. Squirts right through this one. I got nothing. I can't get it to spray through. Clean that off and blow on it. I can't blow through it. There we go. Internally collapsed brake hose. You wouldn't even be able to tell it from the outside. But that's definitely the culprit in our situation. Pretty sure this was from the right front, so the right front was unable to grab as hard as the left front, causing the car it would pull to the left, essentially, is what would happen with this car. So with the right front not being able to grab as hard as the left front, it was pulling to the left. So there we go. I'll take a look quick here. I don't think I showed it yet. Here's the brake reservoir. It's got two separate parts of it with kind of a divider that keeps the fluid between them. That way if you lose one brake, you can the other brakes will still work. If you do cut a line in the rear, the fronts will still work, vice versa, although it'll be extremely soft and obviously you won't want to drive like that. But this does have a bleeder up here as well if you do need to air bleed the master cylinder itself. But there's also the ABS pump down below, right in there. And to bleed that, you'll have to use the ForScan computer app, program, whatever you want to call it, with an OBD2 cable running into it to bleed that if you need to do that. If you keep this full and you don't get any air in there, then you really don't have to worry about it unless you're having false ABS activations, things like that. But our level's good. We're just a little bit under max, which is fine because the rears are used yet, and we want to have some room for that when we squeeze the calipers back there, or squeeze the pistons back there, so we have a little bit room for expansion. But we're all good to go. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and get these tires back on, get the lug nuts torqued down to 100 psi like always for these, and we'll take her on a test rip. But I'm sure we got the problem fixed, so I'm not going to show you that because we should be good to go. If there's an issue, I'll bring you back again. But here's now, we found the problem. Thanks for watching. Give me a like, subscribe, comment down below. Go ahead and share if you feel necessary, if you want to. Help a guy out a little bit. Just a little small-time channel trying to work on friends and family's cars and make sure that they're up to snuff and safe to drive down the road. Thanks for watching.